And go.
All right, State of the Alliance. So, the last month or so, we've been pretty much since the end of the Yoka-Gaiken 7-system campaign that we ran up in the north, we've been kind of getting our ducks in a row as far as our industry stuff goes. We've done a lot of throwing up refineries and shooting refineries and kind of just general roaming, low-key, kind of off-topic kind of stuff. So that's kind of what we've been up to. There hasn't been a ton of good active groups for us to go target. We were kind of waiting to see if something materialized. At one point or another, I was looking to see how those cloak goof guys in Okagaiken who kept hitting our stuff, if they would grow and become a threat that we could shoot at. Turns out no, they died off. In fact, I think Easy got reported and took a vacation from the game and got to spend some time away, and then everybody left him. So they seem to be pretty much irrelevant again. I was hoping that Army of New Eden would show up into our null area in Cloud Ring there and start making some noise that we could shoot at them. Looks like they did indeed move out there, but they are living in Horde space, pretty much doing nothing. Looks like so far Alliance goes to die, rent some space from Horde, doesn't even get to keep it as their own. So that's what we've been up to. I know it's been kind of slow, so we're going to get back into the swing of things. Before we get too deep into where we're going, I do want to take a second to welcome our newest group to the Alliance, Shepherds of Metal, if I'm not butchering that.
That is correct.
Excellent.
Butchered.
So we've got a smaller group of guys here, but some US and some EU, from what I understand, going to be active with us. Looks like they're moving into Fleet with us. So welcome, guys. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
We are going to jump into our next campaign pretty much immediately. I know everybody's been kind of jonesing for something to do, so we are going to get right into it. We are going to go assault Conoco and take Mirko directly. We're not doing a whole giant swath of faction warfare plexing. We are literally just going to go straight into Mirko and try and take the system from Conoco. That being said, it's going to be a lot of content for our Russian EU guys. They seem to be very active in that time zone, and probably less so for our US time zone guys. US time zone, if we go up there and there's no action, we'll throw some plexing ults in there and continue to roam for now and kind of see what happens. But should be some good content all around. The militia has been fighting Conoco, and they've been pushing, like in Alparena, for example. We're going to go straight and go for the jugular, and that'll kind of keep them from pushing systems around there, and just go flex our military might for a little while and see what happens. So that is going to start likely Thursday night, U.S. time zone. We'll probably start there. We're moving ships out in that area. We are going to stage out of the GOG Astor House. I got us an access list for that. Instead of trying to throw our own down, we're going to just stage right out of there since we have an access list and do our thing. After that campaign is over, unless something else big shows up and happens, our Russian group, 17th Squadron, has been dying to take OICX. I'm not 100% sure of their reasonings, but they, the leader, CEO of 17th, has really had his eyes on OICX. The Squid have done a good job of keeping them out of there, including killing one of their staging Astor houses from there. So we're going to make a little bit of a mess after this and go help them with that. They'll have a lot of work to do in their own time zone, but we're going to get a staging citadel up in there and take OICX, if nothing else, just to give back and forth and do a op for our Russian group, which we have done kind of very little of. So that's kind of the next couple of weeks outlined going into the Christmas holiday. I will apologize in advance. I'm going to be gone for a week over that Christmas break, going out of town. I likely will not have a computer that will run Eve, so I probably won't get to log in more than Discord worrying. So
how dare you take a vacation?
We'll get all this wrapped up. I know. So hopefully we'll get both of these campaigns wrapped up before then, but we're just going to kind of see how it goes. So that is the next couple of weeks in a nutshell. Couple other things I want to go over before we get moving around. I am restructuring our military. I am adding commanders in time zones spread out. Obviously, U.S. time zone is pretty well covered with me being here, but AU, EU, and Russian time zone all were lacking some central leadership. I have been taking people's names to try and fill those roles. So far, it looks like I've only had one person per each sign up and be willing to do that. So as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and announce those people. And those guys are going to be running that time zone. What that means is they're going to be pretty much in charge of imposing leadership's will in that specific time zone. They'll get their orders from high up from leadership, and they will, with our support, kind of push objectives in that time zone, help FCs realize where they should be, make sure that they're getting the ships they need, and then communicating that information back to central leadership. Hopefully that will kind of shore things up for us and give us even more power in those time zones. We've had pretty good luck lately with our time zone coverage. It's been pretty good having all these groups in here. I'd just like to see some of those other time zones aside from US get a little bit more organized, and that is what we're after. So EU time zone is going to be Popcorn, CEO of Alwar. He is going to be running our EU for us.
Yay!
Yay, Popcorn. AU time zone, which I'm actually pretty excited about. Billy is going to be taking over as military head for the AU time zone. Billy has been around for a long time. Mostly works behind the scenes, moving your guys' stuff around. Kind of an underappreciated role. I'm excited to let him get up into the foreground here and get to do some military stuff with me. So Billy is going to be doing our AU leadership stuff. As far as our Russian time zone, this one was a little harder for me to fill. I'm happy to say that Celia has stepped up and is going to be my Russian time zone. He's already put some work in for me today, and touched base with our Russian buddies. I really have been kind of sad that we haven't got to intermingle more with them. I understand there's the language barrier, so Celia is going to work with me in making sure that they're not forgot about, that we're helping them and they're helping us. So those are my 3 time zone commanders. Silver is going to be my second in command, and that's going to be kind of the structure for the commanders or the generals, so to speak, and I'll make that chart out. Awesome. The second part of that is my FCs and my junior FC group. I have put some stipulations on these guys. I want that group to remain active and in motion. So if you are interested in becoming an FC, you need to poke at me on Discord and let me know, show some interest, and we will help facilitate that, get you in the program. Junior FCs have to FC a couple times a month, and full-blown FCs have to FC 3 times a month. And then I'm requiring all of them write up real short after-action reports and send them to me via email so I know what's going on and that people are actively filling that role. If you are trying to do that and you don't manage to fill your quota for a couple months in a row, I will probably bump those people out of the leadership channel associated with those FCs and commanders, and we'll let new blood get in. And anytime that you can be active and give more time to do that, you'll be allowed back in. So if you're interested in doing some more FC work or starting to FC, I know we've got a lot of people that have put their hands up for that, mostly the junior FC program. The Alliance will kind of help provide ships, especially plexing operations. We always have ships to hand out and stuff to do. So if you're interested in becoming an FC, if it's a role you've always been kind of wanting to give it a try, don't be shy, talk with me, and we will get you set up and ready to do that. I think that's mostly it. Oh, Christmas Adopt a Family. I put up a link in Discord broadcast for an Adopt a Family thing. X-Meta has done it for about 3 years now. We've already had some pretty big help for that. Looks like we've got already enough money adopt probably 3 families, which is amazing. You guys are awesome. There's a PayPal link in there if you guys, can feel like you want to donate for the holiday season. Basically, the way the setup looks is each of the kids has got a need and a want, and if you want to adopt a kid, you get to do both. One of the ones that I picked out, for example, that I wanted to adopt for sure, which we've already been able to cover. He needed some winter boots and some books since he lost his stuff in the Houston floods. So he for sure is one that we are going to cover, and it looks like we get 2 more kids. Don't feel obligated, guys. This is kind of a gray area because it is, money changing hands in a video game. So if that's something you're not comfortable with, feel free to opt out of it. This is not a requirement by any stretch. But yeah, it's a cool thing we do. It is the holiday season. I like to get back and do some nice things. The last part of that.
Can you relink that, please, at your convenience?
Yeah. I'll relink it again and when the Sota's over. The second part of that, kind of on a serious note, if we have any families that are struggling inside of Federation Uprising, please come forward and talk to me. I'll keep it 100% confidential, private, just between me and you. If you've got a kid or a couple of kids that you're worried about not having presents for the holidays, please get with me and you will have priority. Federation kids will have priority in the adopt a family thing. So if you or your family is struggling a bit this holiday season, now is not a time to be prideful. We want to make sure that none of the kids are going to do without. So I will link that again. And then I will turn over to Ash if you have anything to add.
Yeah, thank you. So mostly I just wanted to talk a little bit about the higher up view of what we've been doing. I know that a lot of focus has seemed to be about industry and moon mining and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to war. And the reason why is because Fedup has been going through a transition from being just a faction warfare group to being kind of a fully realized industrial engine. And what that means is that we're now producers, pretty strong producers, as well as just consumers in the form of faction warfare. We have a very strong industry wing now. Our moon mining is now occurring at least once a week. I think it's actually happening up to twice a week, and making a lot of money for people. What's important is that this ISK that's being spent in-house, bullets that are bought from people that are mined from ore that we mine, all of this keeps the value inside of our organization, and we overall become stronger. This is what leads us to capital production. This is what leads us to being able to be bigger and stronger and meaner, especially in this new world post Lifeblood. I think that we've made the transition really gracefully, and I have a command update coming out as soon as I figure out the audio for this and stick it in there. So it should be out either tonight or tomorrow. That's kind of outlining all of the different stuff that we've got going on now, because we've got a lot of stuff going on at this point. Basically, if it's not in wormholes, we have access to it. So if you're interested in doing stuff, getting involved, obviously we always have more things to do, both on a military and a non-military level. Other than that, I also want to point out that we have fully taken the southern half of the war zone, which is our charter to take and hold the southern half of the war zone. So we're currently in line with our Federation charter, which is pretty good. And these attacks into the north hopefully will spur action upon our enemies. Once again, we don't necessarily want to destroy all of the state. We might end up doing so accidentally, but in general, we are trying to encourage a vibrant enemy.
We're okay with destroying Conoco, though.
Yeah, we're okay with destroying certain state actors.
Like goofs.
No, but that's about
themselves.
That's about all I have for you guys. You guys are great, and expect to see me more again.
Real quick, I will add, I'm going to try and put together a Google document that is kind of like alliance bulletins, both for new members to the corp and new corps to the alliance. I'm sorry, new members to the alliance and new member corps to the alliance. But I do want to remind everybody, while I have everybody on comms, and the address is to get on Fedup, please. Make sure that you are signed up for that. Search for Federation Uprising. Use your API so you'll automatically be able to join the group. And that is where all of our fittings live. If you're not in Eidolon, looks like Eidolon's added them to court fittings, but in general, you need to be on there. That's typically the first place to get fit copies, and it's kept up to date. It's got a sync to game feature. I have also added a couple of doctrines that aren't really doctrines. So one of them is plexing, which has our plexing ships that we typically use. Considering we're about to start on some faction warfare objectives, it's important that you can fly the ships in that category, even if you have to meta something like the weapons on that platform. And then there's the Fedup doctrines, which has our doctrines from big to small. You need to be working on both of those categories. You are kind of required to be able to fly the ships that we fly. It's important that you can participate in a meaningful way. We always appreciate our new bros that can, that come in and can't fly doctrine, and they bring E-War frigs and stuff like that. But for the most part, you still need to be training into our doctrines.
Yeah, the days of excuses are coming very close to an end, thanks to the changeover in alpha skills. So at this point, if I expect all of our, as particularly alphas, to create a game plan for how you plan to fill your roles. And for those of you who may be eyeing certain things and think that like maybe I can't think of a good example right now, but maybe Tech 1 Logi is going to be low on your priority stack. Instead of not training at all, make a new alpha that can experiment with different stuff, so that way you can quickly get into all of our stuff, our ships. You can now train up to 5 million skill points on an alpha that basically covers 90% of the ships that we fly. So, become accustomed to what your new alpha capabilities are, and start up extra alphas to begin training to stuff if that will get you to them sooner.
Yeah, definitely want to get into our basic stuff. I mean, there's no reason that anybody that's been here for a long time can't do, Punishers, Algos, Caracal. At least, you should be able to fly something in every role relatively quickly, especially all the T1 stuff. It's not a huge time investment, so make sure you guys are pushing that direction.
That's all I've got.
Is there a group for capital pilots?
We do have a capital group on Discord. If you are a cap pilot, we have a doctrine for capital ships, and I'll go into this real quick because that has actually kind of just started. We picked the doctrine on purpose for capital ships. I understand that everybody kind of has their own flavor and their own style. You need to be willing to train into the doctrine. If you have a capital ship already that's not our doctrine, which our capital doctrine right now is only dreads and facts. We don't typically use carriers that much. They're good for ratting and other things. We do use them from time to time, but mainly dreads and facts. And our doctrine for those are revs and apostles. There are very good reasons for this. I'll go into them quickly, and we're not gonna have a big debate about it. But the reason we're using apostles is it's buffer fit armor triage, since we're used mostly armor high-end comps as far as our Apex stuff goes. See Macarials. So the option was between Apostle and Nanazu. Nanazu is better in smaller gang settings. It's better as an active rep ship. It is not good for big fleet battles where there's several enemy dreads on the field, and it is not good for any kind of structures. Apostles can, if the numbers aren't too crazy, live to make it through triage and then get fax reps from your other fax machine. As far as the dread goes, the reason we went with the Revelation, it's kind of the middle road, best of all the worlds. It has projection, and it is armor tanked, and it has a decent armor tank. It's got a good low slot layout, so it's got a pretty mean armor tank on it, and it can project. When you drop dreads, on a combat fleet kind of situation, you're never going to be in perfect range of what you're shooting at, or at least you're not going to be in perfect range for the next thing you're shooting at. I'm saying these things because it's important. My capital alt trained into our Moros, and I'll tell everybody right now, the Moros is probably the worst dread right now. It really lacks range and projection. It can't apply good damage. Oftentimes, even though I have pretty good dread skills, I find myself in the mid-bottom of the dread damage charts. So there's a reason we picked all this stuff. The Phoenix is a great dread. It's shield tanked, and we don't run rattlesnakes. So I'm not going to say no if you already have one of those ships. Fly it till it blows up, use it. Happy to have you along in fleet, but you should be training into our doctrines. It's just like anything else. If you show up to our Caracal fleet in an armor tanked Vexor, I'm not going to be, thrilled overall if you aren't willing to train into what we need to do. So that, if you need to get in the capital group, if you are a capital pilot and you've not yet joined that group, make sure you ping a member of leadership, myself, Silver, Zoran, Ash, somebody that can do Discord roles, and we'll make sure you get invited to the capital channel. All right, I think that's it. We're going to go do a quick Caracal roam here. We'll go roam the war zone, and then we'll go out run into Horde face first, since we're getting kind of a late start. So let me check and see what our fleet comp is, and we'll finish this off.